Hello. So in this audio session, I'm going to briefly talk about the cost, dollars and cents, to process film with monobath developers, specifically Df96. But I also wanted to briefly touch on a topic that I didn't go into this article just because it was getting too long, and that was looking at another monobath developer, which is by the famous large and small format photography company, and it's called FF No.1. These two developers are both excellent, and they both produce absolutely gorgeous negatives, and negatives that look very different when you really look at them with a critical eye. They're very different looking. So what's the difference? I find that the Cinestill Df96, the grain has a little bit of a softer edge. It isn't soft, it's just a little diffuse, if that makes sense. And from a scanning standpoint, because of the nature of how a scanner likes to accentuate grain in black and white film, it actually kind of works in your favor, especially in 35 millimeter, where any enlargement is going to really accentuate the grain. When you get to stuff like 4x5 or T-Max 100 film, the difference is definitely less. However, when I ran a roll of T-Max 100 and 35 and processed half in the Df96 and half in FF No.1, they're both crazy sharp, crazy beautiful. I find the FF No.1 has a little less compensation in the highlights. That's not to say the highlights are blowing out. It's just to say it has a little less compensation. I found the mid-tone contrast to be a little higher on FF No.1, but the biggest difference really was in the grain. The FF No.1 grain is very sharp, like very, very sharp. And now if I was working a large format in 4x5, say like T-Max 100, and I was going for the absolute most crazy sharp negative I could get, I would seriously consider FF No.1. For all other formats and other applications, it's really going to be up to you. So as I said, if you really start digging monobath developers, it might be worth taking a look at both of them and seeing which fits your needs the best. But this gets me now to the dollars and cents question. How much does it cost to process film with both of these developers? So FF No.1 now comes in a 1:3 concentrate, which I think is really great. So you got the 1 part concentrate, you mix it to 3 parts of distilled water, and the advantage to this is you're not having to ship as much weight. So it saves you a lot of money on the shipping. The disadvantage with FF No.1 is it only processes 7 rolls of 35 millimeter per liter. Now, Df96 processes 16 plus rolls of film per liter. So you get a smaller volume with the FF No.1. A lot of that boils down to their philosophy on the labeling. They assumed the worst case scenario, that you were going to be shooting nothing but super silver rich films, and that's where that number comes from. So if doing a little bit of testing the way I showed in the tips and trick video, where you could take the end of a film and put it in the developer and see if it goes black, I suspect with that and with cleaning the monobath after 4 or 5 rolls, you probably could get more film. And I know if you were using a lower silver density film, say T-Max films or something like that, you probably would get 9, 10 rolls safely. But just going by the bottle, it says 7, the Cinestill says 16. So the smaller volume bottles with the shipping work out to like $22.25 per bottle. Now, if you assume that you're only going to have 7 rolls of film per bottle, that means it's $3.17 per roll. Now, by the way, this is priority mail shipping to me here in Vermont. If you live somewhere else, it could be different, but you get the basic idea. You're in for about $3.17 per roll on a liter of chemicals. Now, the Cinestill stuff, their shipping cost is significantly higher. And it is, if there was one criticism I would have of their material, is that the shipping cost is very high. But it works out to $29.75 per bottle once you figure in the shipping, versus the FF No.1, which was $22.25. So you can see the Cinestill is a little more expensive. But if you remember, it does more rolls of film. The Cinestill breaks down to $1.85 a roll, as opposed to the $3.17 per roll using the FF No.1. So we're only talking a difference of $1.32. It's not a big difference per roll, but if you're on a budget, $1.32 adds up. I like both of these developers, and I would recommend both of them. But once again, I do suggest you if you really get into monobaths, buy one of each and see what fits your needs the best.